In this episode of the IT Experts podcast, we talk with the MSP Growth Hub friend legend, the person that is, Mr. Paul Green, as we smash to pieces the 5 marketing myths. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast, the only podcast to help MSPs scale to 1 million, and if already there, get to 5 and go faster. At the end of the day, isn't it all about building a business that works for you rather than you for it? I hope you enjoy the show. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast. Today, we've got our great friend back in the house. Mr. Green, how are you doing today?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much for having me again.
No worries. That's absolutely brilliant, Paul. And we're going to have a bit of fun today, as usual. Minimal prep, as anybody would expect. And we have no idea really where this is going to go. But we do know where this is going to go. Because, as many of you know, marketing is one of the things that MSPs really struggle with quite a lot. Most of the time, if not all of the time, in every single business. So I thought I'll drag Paul in, and I didn't want to do Paul, how do we do this, or what do we do that, or what does this look like? So what I want to do is we're going to talk to Paul today. We're going to have some discussions around smashing some myths which stop people from getting started with marketing. It stops people. It's going to help you to put a bit of a plan together, so you know, where do I start? Because a lot of the information we get in the Growth Hub is from people sort of going, I don't know where to start. There's so much information. Do I join the tech tribe? Do I join, the CompTIA? Do I come and join Paul? Do I come and join you? What is it we do? But I just don't know where to start. And when they get that brain fog, it just stops because I'm not confident to go and ask people. So we're going to smash some of those myths together today, aren't we, Paul?
Yes, we are. Dad,
we are.
We're going to do this.
We are.
Let's do it.
Right. Now, before we go any further, and just in case anybody listening to this podcast has been living under a rock or been dead for many, many years, Paul Green, MSP's Marketing Edge. Who are you? What do you do? Who do you help? And why are you so great at what you do?
Thank you. That's talk about leading questions, but I like those leading questions. So yes, I'm an MSP marketing expert. I run the MSP Marketing Edge, which is a marketing subscription for MSPs, and we give you all the answers to your marketing to make your marketing easy. Quick plug: you can check out if your area is still available, because we only work with one MSP per area. That's at mspmarketingedge.com. So what I do is make marketing easy for not just the MSPs that I'm working with, but all MSPs. I've been in the channel since 2016. And the problem with marketing, Ian, as you know, and the thing that holds back MSPs and stops them from doing more marketing, it's actually our very first myth. The myth is that marketing is a dark art and it's not at all logical. And MSPs typically who are techs, who've got into the business because they love tech and they love helping people and there's a huge satisfaction, isn't there, in solving people's problems. It's a wonderful industry that we're in for that. And the problem comes when you've done that on your own for a year and you're just a bit too busy and you take on a bit of help and you realize there's not quite enough cash for you and the help. So you think, I need to do some marketing. And that either happens then or it happens when you're at 2 staff or 3 staff. And that's the point when MSPs go and look at this marketing thing. And they realize there's so much. And you mentioned a whole bunch of communities there, and those are all great communities. The Growth Hub is great. All of these things, there's a few bad things within the channel, but the vast majority are great places. But the problem is, everyone's got lots of opinions. There's a guy here saying doing pay-per-click, the adverts you do on Google. There's someone else over here saying do search engine optimization, SEO. There's someone else here saying that you should be doing other lead generation. Here, there's someone saying you should be doing they ask, you answer, which is a type of content marketing. You can literally you could take any type of marketing and you can find someone somewhere in our little world who says you should do it. And this is what makes marketing complex. So let's bust that first myth. Marketing is not a dark art at all. It is actually a very, very logical thing. And one of the things that I've been doing in this is my 8th year in the channel. So I first got into the channel in 2016 after I'd run another business for 10 years, 12 years actually, working with other business owners we don't like to talk about because they're not as special as MSPs. But I spent 8 years figuring out actually how to make marketing smaller. And that's the answer for you as an MSP. Unless you are a 50-person, 5 million turnover business, in which case, yes, you need a more complex marketing answer. And let's put that to one side, because that's not the majority of MSPs. If you're a 2 to 10 person business and you just want 1 or 2 more appointments a month because you know you're going to close half of those, then marketing should be very, very simple, and it can be broken down into a very, very simple strategy. It can be broken down into a very simple set of tactics. And most importantly, Ian, and I know that you will be a big fan of this, you can get other people to do that marketing for you. Because if you as the MSP owner are doing your own marketing, it's an epic fail. In fact, you can hashtag that, hashtag epic fail. You have to oversee your own marketing. You have to make sure it happens, but the actual doing the marketing, and we're not talking difficult things. We're talking stuff that virtual assistants and people on Upwork and Fiverr can do for you. So yeah, that's my view is actually let's make marketing small. Let's break it down into a series of small actions. Let's turn it into a checklist, right? Wouldn't marketing be easier if it was a checklist, yeah?
Well, do you know what? That's a great point that you mentioned about that checklist, because a couple of things on that. Number one, I can't believe you managed to get all the way through to 2 minutes, 47 seconds into this podcast before you put your first pitch in. So well done. Congratulations on that. Second thing, if you are running a £5.5 million MSP with 50 people, can you please get in touch? Because we could probably chop that workforce in half straight away. But yeah, the dark art is not logical. Really interesting, this one. In the Growth Hub, we've just started doing some implementation sessions. So people come and they bring your content and they bring, all the other stuff that they hear, and we help them kind of put it through the sausage machine on how it works and what it needs to do. And we had a call yesterday, actually, about 25 guys on the call, and it was really interesting that they were all just come on the call to just listen to see how it works. And I sort of thought, well, where's this going to go? Because no one's got any examples. So I started talking about what we were doing. I started talking about what some of our other clients were doing. And I started talking about, some of the methodologies around events and follow up and all of this sort of stuff. And then when I asked them what was the big takeaway, they said real life actionable examples of how this bloody stuff works. Because I'm working so hard with them at the moment on their messaging, who they are, who their avatar is. And do you know what, Paul? We're going to be talking about that for months, because until you've done that, you can't write a blog, you can't put a meme out, you can't put anything out unless you know that key information, which is the first logical step, isn't it? And it's, you can't just go and get a blog off some website and then just post it out and expect people to go, ring you up. You've got to tailor it, and you've got to have that language. And what you just mentioned there about give it off to somebody else, it isn't the MSP's owner's job to do marketing. It is their job to know what good and bad marketing looks like, and if someone's doing it, is that the right thing to do? So it's like your sales and marketing director, isn't it? I think so many times people get caught up with, I've got to do it and it's not my happy place because I'm a techie, so why should I be doing that? You must get a lot of that in your community, Paul.
Oh, massively. I mean, almost everyone that we work with is a techie, and we, as I say, we give them the answers and we make it easy for them, and the vast majority of that is helping them to find, well, either to use our teams, we have an implementation team now, or go and find their own people to just do it for them. And you're right that it's the problem is you've started a business doing what you're good at, right? This isn't just an MSP thing. This happens to architects. This happens to lawyers, right? So if you're a lawyer, God help you if you're a lawyer. What a depressing way to spend your day, but right,
if you're a lawyer,
right.
Podcast.
Exactly, yeah. Let's just celebrate the fact that we're not lawyers, right? And this isn't a lawyer's marketing podcast, right? But if you're a lawyer, so you're good at suing people and chasing ambulances. So one day you start your own legal firm, and so what you do, of course, is you do law stuff all day, and you do the law. And this is exactly the same as an MSP, as a technician who's good at tech stuff. So they start a business doing that, and everyone reaches that point where actually you've got to transition from being the business to being the leader of the business. And that transition, and I know, Ian, this is a fundamental core of what you do in the Growth Hub, is helping leaders turn into leaders. People who are leaders but aren't leading turn into leaders, and everything else falls into place. But that could be a multi-year transition. It's a difficult thing. You move from being a technician who's controlling their work into being someone who is leading other people and leading a business, and that's hard work, but it's the only answer. So you say, you're absolutely right. You say you shouldn't be doing your marketing self, but you should be overseeing it. As the business owner, we are, because I'm an owner of a business, you're an owner of a business, so is everyone watching or listening to this. As the owner, we have to oversee everything. And the trick is, overseeing the tech work but not getting dragged back into it, while overseeing the marketing, the finances, the sales, the administration, the general efficiency of the business, the people, all the other areas of the business, but overseeing that and training ourselves up, getting training. And this is why I love the Growth Hub, because you guys just look at the holistically the whole business, everything in the business. And you've got to look at all of that and train yourself as a business owner to be good at that. And if you and I were to sit and list the most successful MSPs that we know and that are out there in the industry, and inevitably you and I would throw a bunch of the same names, they're people who've been through this, aren't they? They're people who have transitioned from being a tech to being a leader. And that's nothing to be scared of, because actually they freed themselves from the hell of being dragged down by, oh my God, I've got to sit and put a blog on today, and I've got to post my social media, and I've got to do this and I've got to do that, because they're actually able to take their dog for a walk, hang out with their other half for a few hours, go and have lunch with a friend, spend 3 quality hours on the business, and make more profit by doing that, by working less. And this all of it. I love this stuff. We could talk about this for hours.
We could talk about this for hours, and it is around having that confidence. And then when they start looking at, the marketing thing and how does it work, and then they start getting some interest from people, and then people start warming up, and then all of it. One of our clients last week, it was hilarious. He put out the good old cable porn server photograph, the before and after, a bit like the old diet photos back in the day. And literally, he had 2 prospects. He only just put it out to go, oh my word, look at this. And so he had 2 people on LinkedIn commented and ended up going, is that bad then that your server looks like that? Because our server looks like that. And he's gone, yeah, because of, let's have a chat. Literally, he's quoting now for 2 people because he posted one. That's marketing. That's educating. And that's sharing with people what good and what bad, IT looks like.
So what you've actually touched there is the second myth, which is
that
you
need.
I did like that. It was you were hoping I'd pick up on that, wouldn't you?
It's almost like I planned it.
It is. It's like I'd written these in advance or something. You said at the beginning that you hadn't done any prep. I've done all the work on this one, buddy. The second myth, of course, is that you need lots of cash to do marketing. You do not. So what you've just explained there, Ian, which in itself is not a fantastic piece of marketing, because it's a bit of a tech thing of look how nice my cabinet is, but actually it sent a message, and it sent a message to he happened to hit the right person at the right time with the right message, which is one of the fundamentals of getting your MSP's marketing right. You've got to, let me say it again because it's so important. You've got to get the right message in front of the right person at the right time. Now, this does not have to cost lots of cash. You need a tiny bit of resource. That could be time as opposed to cash, but you don't need a lot of cash. The big fundamental problem with marketing at MSP is that people stick with their incumbent MSP way longer than they would in any other industry. I've never known a sector where someone will say to you, to your face, I really don't like my IT company. The support levels have gone down. They never seem to answer the phone. I can't speak to Greg anymore. It's just not as good as it used to be. So I'm just going to sign one more 3-year contract and then I'm going to leave. And you and I have both spoken to MSPs that have been the other company trying to steal them away. And they do it because they don't understand tech. They come at it from a position, this is the business owner. They don't understand tech. They come at it from a position of fear. And they are driven by inertia loyalty more than anything else. And inertia loyalty is where it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't. So one of the primary goals with our marketing is we've got to get the right message in front of the right person at the right time, but also we've got to build a level of trust with people. So your clients that put that server picture out, that server picture might have been the trigger that got those 2 prospects to get in touch, but it will not be the first time that they will have seen that person. They will have been connected on LinkedIn. They will have, I bet your clients posting regularly on LinkedIn, maybe even sending out emails to them as part of an email database, which is great because if you can hit people with multiple messages delivered via multiple platforms, yeah, big thumbs up for that. So they will have had a relationship with your clients. Now, it will be a very low-level relationship. They probably didn't know his name. They certainly didn't know his MSP's name. But suddenly, for whatever reason, that picture triggered something inside them. And it's a feeling. It's never a logical thing. It's a feeling. The feeling being, oh my goodness, my server looks like that. I should really do something about this, which is wonderful. And that your client is mopping up from all the hard work that he has done over the last X years or X months. And I bet, he hasn't had to spend a lot of money on it, has he? Hasn't had to spend a lot of money at all, which leads on to myth number 3. Myth number 3 is that you need to hire a marketing agency, which of course costs you a lot of money. Now, let me say, for the record, I am a fan of some marketing agencies. I'm not going to name names, but there are a lot of big marketing agencies in the channel, and you hear good things and you hear bad things about them. There are 2 or 3 that I've got close to. I will mention Wingman, run by our friend Mark Coatman. Wingman is an exceptionally good agency, and we know this because we talk to Mark sort of every other day, don't we? You and me and Mark and a couple of others. We're in a little WhatsApp group, and Mark is literally busting a gut every day to make sure that MSPs get great websites and great ways of driving traffic to those websites. And so that's an example of a great agency. There are lots of other good agencies. You can, if you're working with Ian, ask him, give him the name and say, should I work with this agency? Because people like me and Ian, we hear, don't we? We hear the good and the bad about these agencies. But here's the thing. If you can afford if you've got the cash, the spare cash, and when I say spare cash, I mean, let's say it's $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, or pounds a month. If you can give that money away and get nothing back for 12 months, you wince, but it doesn't damage the business. That's when you hire a marketing agency, because there are lots and lots of marketing agencies that will take your £2,000-3,000 or dollars a month, and you will get nothing back. Right? That's the risk. That's the risk of any kind of hiring any kind of agency. So you never ever hire an agency if that 2,000-3,000 must give a return in 6 months. Must give a return in 6 months, or we're screwed, or I'm going to have to make someone redundant. That's when you never hire a marketing agency. So my opinion on that is very, very clear. Agencies are what you hire when you've got a glut of cash and you want to reinvest back in the business. And you pick very carefully and you agree KPIs, key performance indicators with them, but also you give them space to go and do what you need them to do. Marketing agencies need time and space. You cannot start marketing on Monday and get results on Tuesday. You can do it once, like once in 10 years when you get lucky, but actually consistently, people that do this consistently, you need to give them 3, 4, 5, 6 months to work their magic. If you ask an agency to build you a website and drive traffic to it, you've got to work with them. If 3 months down the line, you still haven't signed off the pages, you haven't signed off the graphics, you haven't signed off the design, of course, there's still no website, right? There's no point in them doing advertising campaigns or SEO because there's nothing to drive traffic to. So yeah, that's my third myth, is that you need to hire a marketing agency. You don't. It's what you do when you have excess cash and you want to invest that into growing your business.
Paul, just on that one with the marketing agency, I've obviously got my own views on what this would look like. But what would you, if someone was looking to or has or are recruiting a marketing agency, what would you consider to be the key metrics, the measures of success? What would I be looking for on a monthly basis? Obviously, you've got a bit of setup, haven't you, for the first couple of months? But what would you be expecting them to do as an agency to drive, results through their marketing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And do you know what? And I say this with the hindsight and benefit of, I used to own a marketing agency outside of the channel. And obviously now I work and talk with lots of different ones.
I'll be good after then.
Yeah. The number one question I would say to the agencies, what are you good at and what are you not good at? And I say this because all agencies, they all offer everything, right? So if I think about my marketing agency that I sold in 2016, we were really good at strategy. We were really good at inspiring business owners to do stuff. We were really good at writing things, but we were average at websites. We were we were awful at search engine optimization, and we were average at pay-per-click. So we tended to sell more of the stuff we were good at. But, as all good business owners do, when someone says, hey, can you do this? My answer was always yes, and then I figured out how to do it. And towards the end of my ownership of that, we sort of slowed down and stopped selling the things we weren't good at, because I realized actually they were becoming unprofitable for us. So any agency you're working with, you say to them, what's your core competency? Anyone that says everything is a liar, walk away, right? Even if they've got 50 staff, if they might have 20 people doing pay-per-click, but if the leaders of the business don't fundamentally love and want to invest in pay-per-click, it's just not going to be a core competency of the business. So that's the first thing I would ask, and say to them, be honest with me, tell me what you're good at and tell me what you're average at, because I just want you to do the good stuff. And then the second thing is I would actually ask them what the KPI is and say, right, you've been doing this for some time. I've had your credentials. I've talked to some of your other clients. You're going to build me a website. You're going to SEO it, right? You understand SEO. This is my marketplace. This is how busy we are. This is this. What do you expect to see when? Because the thing to remember is a marketing agency is no different to an MSP in terms of they want monthly recurring revenue, right?
Yeah.
They don't want a client for 6 months and then lose that client, because actually the secret of a marketing agency is clients are unprofitable in the first few months because you do a massive amount of work to then to do the ongoing stuff. Kind of like if as an MSP, if every new client you took on, you did a project but didn't charge for it. So you'd lose money in the first few months, wouldn't you? But you'd make money it's what we call sort of front end, back end. You lose money at the front end, the back end. So the marketing agencies don't charge so much for those projects, but if they can keep you for 5 years, which is insane retention for a marketing agency, normal for an MSP, crazy good retention for a marketing agency, then they are very happy. So actually you would be one of their best clients if you said to them, what are you good at? What are you not good at? What can I expect to see when? And I think the question you asked me was, what metrics am I looking for? Marketing agencies will BS you up with reports of, we got 712 engagements on LinkedIn over a 16-week period. Who cares, right? All we care about is how many appointments are being set. That's the ultimate KPI, right? If I, as the MSP, if I can close 50% of my sales meetings, say, then I want one new client of 20 plus users a month, then I need 2 appointments a month. That's it, right? And when you start saying stuff like that to an agency, they relax, and when they relax, they do good work. When you're the idiot that phones them up every 3 days because you've only had two posts on LinkedIn this week, then they don't relax. They do bad work for you. So I guess I'm saying, do you know what I'm saying, Ian? As I'm saying, is form a partnership.
100%.
I'm saying form a partnership. It's the same as you do with your clients, right?
Yeah,
the clients that you do the best work with, you have a partnership with them where you're both working together, and it's difficult work, but you do it because the partnership produces results, right?
Exactly that. And this whole thing always, it boils my blood, to be honest with you, because sometimes you kind of get to this position where they're spending all this money and they're putting the blogs out and they're getting the impressions and they're getting the likes, and it's like, no, it's like, where's the middle of funnel? Where's the middle of funnel? How are we getting people onto the email list? How are they then booking the calls? And that's the golden goose that you can create, which is cool. Great, thank you for that one, Paul. Nailed it as usual.
I know.
Right.
Can I whiz through the last 2 myths?
It's just because you're so great. But anyway, right. Number 4.
Yes, number 4 is that marketing is all about the digital stuff. So we've just done it here, haven't we? We've talked about LinkedIn, websites, SEO, pay-per-click, and actually digital stuff is great. The problem with digital stuff is everyone is doing it. Everyone's on LinkedIn. Everyone has a website. The MSPs that really stand out are those that do all the digital stuff, but also remember the non-digital stuff. So I have a service called the MSP Marketing Edge. Within the MSP Marketing Edge, we give you a whole load of digital stuff you can do, but also a whole load of physical stuff. There's an IT services buyer's guide. It's a 50-page document personalized to your MSP. And yes, you can use it digitally, and you should, but you should also print it off. You give it to every prospect. You take it to every networking meeting. Someone who's thinking of switching MSPs today, you give them a copy of it, and they may even flick through it, but your name's on the front as if you've written it. And they'll think, oh my goodness, this person is so good at tech. They're the authority on it because they wrote the guide of how to pick a company like theirs. We have a book which is about a business email compromise. We have printed newsletters that you can send out every month. We have physical campaigns where you can send stuff and you put things in to make it lumpy mail. And we do all of this because most MSPs don't. So the digital stuff is really important, but the offline stuff, it's hard, it's difficult. It requires money, it requires time. You have to hire people to stuff things into envelopes for you. And that's why print stuff, offline stuff, is the stuff that most MSPs don't do. So when someone isn't doing something, what should you do, Ian?
Go and do it.
You should do it. Yeah, exactly that.
Exactly. And just on that point as well about the digital stuff, it's something that popped up yesterday in our Scrum session we had, was when you have one idea, and about the digital, when you get one great idea that is something that your target market care about. This podcast, by the way, is going to be made into 9 different pieces of content, probably minimum. It could even get out to 15, depending on how we chop it all up and cut it up and get it across. So just because you have one idea for a blog, don't think that's just one idea and you've got to think of another idea to write a blog. You can create a little meme, a 1-minute message. You could talk about it. You could break it up into 3 points. It could be a 3-point guide. It could be a PDF guide. It could be, there's so many different ways. You could put it in a newsletter, put it in an email, put it in a LinkedIn, there's so many different things you can do with those one ideas. So, don't just think that you've got one idea for a piece of content and now I've got to think of another one and that's got to be a blog, because people consume data. We were talking about it just before we came on the call. Depending on, potentially disc profiles, people will either read something or they'll want to watch something or they want to hear something. And you need to make sure that your media is doing that. And then, the lumpy mail, I love the whole lumpy mail thing. We use that as well. And your buyer's guide, Paul, is incredible. So, very good, very good. There you go. Another little pump up there. Was it called the Marketing Edge?
MSPmarketingedge.com. That's right. Yes.
.com. Oh, you've got a .com.
Well, also, you can look for it in something called Google, if you've heard of that, Ian. Yeah,
I haven't. No, no. I shall go. I'll go and look that one up in the library. Now I'm showing my age. Right, what's number 5, Paul?
Okay, your 5th and final marketing myth is that you need to beat all of your competitors. Complete myth. You don't. You just need to beat a couple of your competitors. So, MSPs, we all know here in the UK, there's what we reckon about 4,000 MSPs, something like that. The US, there's about 40,000 MSPs. It's an insanely busy market. We all know there's plenty of business to go around, but you don't want to be at the bottom of the market getting none of that. In most marketplaces, you'll have a couple of MSPs that are doing exceptional things in marketing. They'll have salespeople all over the ground. They'll be at all the networking meetings. They'll have great digital presence, amazing websites. They might be what we're calling a super MSP. Super MSP, we're seeing these forming all over the world with lots of MSPs merging together, and they become dominating. You don't have to be scared of these. You don't have to beat the best marketer. You just have to be slightly better than some of your competitors. Some of the things we've talked about today: a great website, a daily presence on LinkedIn, sending out email newsletters, maybe some SEO or some pay-per-click. I say maybe because that's not right for most MSPs, but doing print campaigns where you send stuff out, that in itself is probably more regular marketing than 80% of your competitors. And what I always say to all MSPs everywhere is the trick is not to look at marketing as a series of one-off activities. Doing a campaign now for 3 weeks, then doing nothing until September is the worst kind of marketing you can do. It'd almost be better to do nothing. The very best thing is to turn your marketing into a system. So every day we're doing something. Every day, or every day we're adding something to social media. Every week we're adding a new blog article onto our website and sending out an email. Every month we're sending out a printed newsletter to our Dream 100, our top 100 prospects that we most want to do business with. That kind of system where you're doing daily, weekly and monthly activity, that is the best kind of marketing. Because if you do that systematically forever, so until you sell the business, then you'd be surprised how much better than your competitors will be. And you see your competitor running a campaign or advertising at the local sports club, and you fills you with paranoia, fear, and you think, oh no, yeah, they've spent £10,000 sponsoring the local rubbish football team and having their logo on it. Ignore it. It's a distraction. Ignore it. Forget that. They will never win with a big grand thing like that, or hiring a box or putting an advert in a magazine. What wins is doing small amounts of marketing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And that's my final word on it.
And I'm sure it won't be, but when you look at it, one new client a month will miraculously transform an MSP. One new client every 2 months will make a significant difference. How many leads do you need for that? You don't need hundreds and thousands of leads. You just need a couple of high quality conversations, maybe some local events. As Paul was saying, that expert's guide. How are you proving that you're the expert? Educate through your content. Please educate. Just people don't know what an MSP is, right? So we don't use that word outside of these 4 walls. But educate why they need to have the reliable, secure, safe technology that you guys provide. Don't try and boil the ocean and flick back to number 1. Paul, since the pandemic, been a bit of a funny old place, isn't it? The world, there's always something going on, isn't there? There's either a
recession,
a financial crisis, or trouble in war and anything like that. What's your view in 2024 on what type of content and what type of buying patterns do you think people are going to need to adjust their marketing to for this year? What do you think is going to be different, if anything?
It's a really good question, and I think 80% of it is exactly the same. So I always think the simplest thing is the pandemic was an exceptional event because it changed changed behavior patterns, but it's and it has left a lasting legacy. But recessions, economic woes, like dare I say, even wars, as long as your country's not involved in a war, they're horrible things, but they're distractions. And I try not to read the news because it's depressing. I say this as someone who used to be a news reader on the radio, which is insane. And my life quality is so much better now because I don't have to wade through all of that crap. But I think 80% of this year, 2024, is just keep doing what you're doing. There is a bit of a change, which is AI, and I think we cannot, if you've used chat, I subscribe to Chat GPT-4, so I've got like the pro subscription because I just want to see what it's capable of, and it's not quite there yet, but I say that with a massive but, it's not far off. So, like, for example, I use ChatGPT all the time to generate images. And as long as there's no text in the image, it's fine, right? Second you put text in, it does weird things with the spelling. But they'll fix that at some point, right? They've probably even fixed it. We've recorded this a couple of weeks in advance. They've probably already fixed that because it's just a bug, isn't it?
It's quick,
and you can generate, I use it to generate, I don't generate content for our clients, but I'll use it to generate content for our own marketing and just for ideas. And you still have to edit it. It's not quite good enough. But we're getting to the point where it's getting better almost every week. And I think the smart MSP doesn't give it all. The worst thing you could do is give it all over to AI. That's like giving it over to a chess computer, right? There's no one thinking and looking at it. They're not understanding your target client. They're not understanding what you sell and why you sell it and how and why people buy it. But I think the smart MSPs are just as all the tech tools are integrating AI. Microsoft is putting Copilot across everything because it's a way of just making things a bit easier. And I think AI is just going to make your marketing a bit easier. Like something like image generation, it's so easy to get really high quality images through AI, and they look AI driven. But is that any worse than getting a stock image and putting some text on it? I don't think it is. I really don't think it is.
It's just about stopping the scroll, isn't it?
Exactly. So I think if you can use AI to help you be more productive with your marketing, that's a really, really great thing. But big caveat today, and this may be different in 10 years' time, but today you cannot just hand all of your marketing to AI. I know of an MSP who's using AI to generate hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of blog articles for his website and for SEO purposes. And it makes me just want to shrink down and hide when I hear that, because that's to me, I'm hearing the same thing as the guys 10 years ago that said, oh yeah, we've got some link farms. And if you remember this, Ian, but 10 years ago, link farms were the big things where you could pay someone $10 and they would set up 1,000 backlinks to your website. So your website jumped up in search engine results until Google introduced, I think it was either the Panda or the Penguin update, which was exactly aimed at stopping that behavior. And anytime you're doing something to game Google, it's going to get reversed at some point because Google has more smart engineers than we have, So I think using AI as an assistant rather than giving it responsibility is the thing. And that I think for this year, Ian, is the big change. But also using AI, talking about AI with prospects. The ordinary business owner, I've just thrown out there, ChatGPT, Copilot, GPT-4, right? Concepts that the vast majority of ordinary people do not understand. And that's actually an opportunity for an MSP to talk about AI. So you may not really support AI. You do because it's part of 365 and it's part of the tools you use. But you're not an AI expert, but compared to ordinary business owners, you are. So actually using AI as a tool and talking about AI, doing webinars, doing lunch and learns, educating your audience about AI, they will naturally gravitate towards you when you explain something they don't understand in a way that's easy for them.
Brilliant stuff. Paul, as usual, it's amazing talking to you. It's been great fun, a really good giggle, bucket load of information and a bucket load of value. Dare I say it, would you like to let everybody know how they get in contact with you if they don't already know who you are, what you do and who you help?
Yeah, sure. So the MSP Marketing Edge is a place to reach me. I have another website. It's paulgreensmspmarketing.com. So there's an S in there, paulgreensmspmarketing.com. And on the contact page, you can find my LinkedIn and my email address. You can email me. I'd love to hear from you. Details of my podcast on there as well. Paul Green's MSP Marketing Podcast comes out every Tuesday on your favorite podcast platform and YouTube. And yes, in fact, Ian, it's about, when was the last time you were on? We need to get you back on again.
Yeah,
soon,
we do. I'm just going to go and get a coffee while you finish off.
All right. I'm done.
Brilliant stuff. Paul, it's been a pleasure as usual. Wishing you and your business all the success for 2024, mate. And long may it continue. And we'll help together to work with all these MSPs. So thanks again. Thanks for your time. I'll catch up with you soon. Cheers.
Cheers.
So I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, I'd love it if you could leave a rating and review on your favourite podcast platform. If you want to learn more about how to take your MSP to $1 million, or if you're already there, go faster, then come and join Stuart Warwick and myself in the Scale with Confidence Facebook group. The link is in the show notes. You go and enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.